Won't compensate me for my fence? Then compensate me 100 times as much for my crops.
The malicious compliance in this story is not mine. It's my brother-in-law's. Some of the details may be slightly off, but the overall story is true. My brother-in-law grows avocados in California. Several years ago, a portion of his ranch was ravaged by a wildfire. Or so he thought at first when the smoke cleared. It became obvious that the fire was caused by an electrical line that was blown over by strong winds and had landed on his fence, catching it on fire. Since he had been planning on diversifying his crops anyway, he decided he'd simply replace his fence, replant, and move on. To that end, he called up the electric company that owned the downed line and asked them for about $10,000 in compensation to replace the fence that had been destroyed by their electrical line. They denied any and all culpability in the matter and told him that he should sue them if he didn't like it. What the electric company didn't realize was that my sister, his wife, works full-time as a corporate attorney for one of the largest utilities in California, defending against cases just like this one. At first she was concerned that this utility was a subsidiary of her employer, in which case there would be a massive conflict of interest apparently legal departments frown on their employees when their husband is suing them. Go figure. Thankfully, after some investigation, she realized that the utility in question was completely independent of her employer. And at that point the gloves were off. My sister didn't represent her husband because she's typically on the other side of these cases. But she did advise him on everything he needed to bring to court to win his case. And she helped him find a very reputable lawyer with a solid record of winning cases like these. Not knowing what they were up against, the utility persisted in refusing to negotiate, hoping that by forcing my brother-in-law to trial, he would simply give up and go away, spurred on by my sister's insistence that he had a solid case. He called their bluff and went to trial. As it turns out, California takes agricultural damage very seriously, and the court conducted its own independent investigation. It estimated the total damages at around $335,000, which is over 33 times as much as my brother-in-law had asked for initially. Furthermore, there is a law in California that awards triple damages in cases where agriculture is impacted. So the utility that had been unwilling to negotiate over $10,000 was now on the hook for over $1 million in damages. When all was said and done, my brother-in-law confided to me that he would have gladly settled for the $10,000 in arbitration and that it would probably have taken him over a decade to even sell $1 million worth of crops. The utility had to have their day in court, though.
That's delicious malicious.
So that's what they mean when they say you can save a lot of money if you stop toasting avocados. Fun fact: avocado in French is avocat. Avocat also means lawyer. A lot of places have a policy of not settling any types of cases like that, simply to avoid having nuisance cases brought against them. Once word gets around that they never settle, most people with invalid claims just give up. Thanks for this story. I am still salty about the time I had to basically hire an electrician to yell at utility. Honestly, this is one of those situations where it is better to do what your bill did. Take it to court and follow through with his wife's advice. Maybe that utility company will learn from their grave mistake and not treat others like this. At the very least, I bet there are new policies, procedures for handling this type of situation.
Stop, I can only get so hard.
Wait, so did they pay him the $1 million in damages? PG&E. The utility mentioned here got the state of California to bail them out, after being found to have caused several of the largest wildfires in the state's history. The state allowed them to add surcharges to all the customers to pay off the lawsuits. They also gave PG&E billions to upgrade its infrastructure. So far, all that got upgraded were the corporate jets and the leadership's homes. As a Californian whose power rates continue to skyrocket, this smells like PG&E. Over a decade to sell $1 million worth of avocados? Chipotle makes that much in 3 days on guac alone. Maybe he should try mashing it first before selling? Totally unrelated, but I'm a professional woodworker. If your family, or their neighbors, has fruit wood they'd like to remove, I'd love to get my hands on pieces that are salvageable for projects. Charred crispy wood is less useful than pest-infested. Or just routine limb trims. Full trunks would be a dream. I make cutting boards, signs, utensils, etc. So the fruit woods like apple, pistachio, olive, walnut, etc. have beauty and character while being naturally antiseptic and somewhat to significantly more durable than common lumber. I know some people like to know that their work doesn't go to waste. So if they're interested, I'd be willing to drive up from LA. This also belongs in R. Pro Revenge. This is just fantastic. How much did your brother-in-law eventually get? Was it near the $1 million mark? Glad to hear that they made the utility pay. I am tired of hearing about utility companies that cause damage and use excuses to get away with not paying. I am just the courtroom tech guy, not an attorney. I organized the exhibits, put together the presentations, and show them in court. I bill more than that in a week at trial. Wait, don't tell me, PG&E, right? Their history surpasses Enron for sheer evil and dodging compliance regs. They have blood on their hands over decades. If you could call a company a psychopath, this one would be in the definition as an example. They don't care since the customer pays the bill. Look at PG&E. I would laugh at this. But since I live in CA, I know the utility just passed the cost on to me. Smiling face with tear. Take my upvote anyway.
I love it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.